Welcome to another episode of Mental Health Monday. Still waiting on a jingle, guys. Who's going to get me a jingle? Okay, so this week I want to talk about something that most women have and men have to deal with it, and we don't talk about it enough. So I'm going to talk about it. It's a period, menstrual cycle, aunt flow, whatever you want to call it. In our house, it is called winter. I want to talk about it with you and tell you why it's important to be aware of it, learn more about it, and then track it. So this is what I have for you. So I was listening to a podcast. It was a little over a year ago, and Jenna Kutcher had this gal named Claire Baker, and she's a period coach. Have you ever heard of that? I had never heard of that until this day. I was very intrigued. I'm like, what is she going to talk about here? Kind of interested to see what she has to say. So I listened to this podcast, and it was mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. Like, this lady has studied and learned so much about a woman's body and our cycle that we go through every month. And there are so many things that I learned just from that podcast that I never ever learned in school or just from my own experiences. So I highly recommend that you start with that podcast. I will link it for you so you can check it out. But the main takeaway from that podcast that I learned was the importance of tracking your cycle. Now, before this, I was only tracking mine, so I really kind of knew like when to expect my period to show up. And I was just using an app, and I would like log on and mark when it happened and then close it and never look at it again until the next month. But now I actually physically write it down every single day. So we have day 1 through however many days are in your cycle. Day 1 would be the beginning of the first season, which is winter. So she breaks this all down and explains this really well in that podcast. But our monthly cycle, she breaks it into the 4 seasons. So there's winter, spring, summer, fall. I was like, am I saying that in the right order? Yes. So, isn't it kind of funny that winter is when you have your period? Winter is coming. That's what we say in our house now. So anyways, what I actually do every single day now, when I open my journal in the morning, I am writing down what day of my cycle it is and then what season I'm in. And she has on her website and on the podcast, she breaks it all down. So like day 1 through, I believe, 10 is winter, and then I'm probably getting this all mixed up. I have like a little chart that I look at. So I write down what day of the cycle it is, what season I'm in, and then I am acknowledging how I'm feeling that day. So in the wintertime or winter season of the cycle, you are usually maybe lower energy, no energy, you're feeling bloated, you're tired, you are hungry all the time, you might be irritable, crabby, you might not feel like being social at all. There's so many things that you can be feeling. And the other part of it too is acknowledging where your levels are for things like if you are planning a business or working your business or working your full-time job, whatever it is, you're gonna see a change throughout the month in your energy levels, and maybe certain tasks may not come as easily during these certain phases. So it's all just really interesting and fascinating. I don't want to talk about all of it. I'm probably going to get a lot of it mixed up if I try to tell you all about it, but I highly recommend checking out the podcast, checking out her website, follow her on Instagram. She does these little videos where she shares like what day she's on in her cycle and then explains how she's feeling and maybe how she's taking care of herself and giving herself grace to get through that certain time or certain challenge of that cycle phase. The last thing I want to share with you is she just came out with a book earlier this year, and I love it. It's the cutest little book. So it is called 50 things you need to know about your period. Know your flow and live in sync with your cycle. And it's super cute. It has little panties on the front of it. And it's very well done on the inside. Lots of really great graphics and illustrations, rather, and full of good information. I keep this right by on the couch where I journal every morning, so then I can open it up and reference the days and the cycles and just kind of reread through things to help me just feel better about how I feel, because let's be honest, when you have your period, it's terrible. The rest of the month could be great too, or better or worse. You never know. So everybody's a little different. So this week I am encouraging you to do a little research about your period and start tracking it to see how your mood and energy levels change. And also check out this book and the podcast because they're great. And I think that's all I'm going to tell you about periods right now. So have a great week, everybody.